5. The parade of stereotypes and blatant racism in Disney movies in general. Okay, so a whole lot of Disney movies were made and released during a time in America where concepts like, ethnic and racial sensitivity or political correctness weren't really, things. As a result, some of these flicks have aged pretty horribly due to the inclusion of characters that are unavoidably offensive by today's standards. In fact, one Disney movie is so entirely racist that it will simply never be released on video, ever. Where to start? In Dumbo from 1941, the baby elephant encounters a group of crows who have since been identified as racist caricatures of African Americans. Case in point, the leader of that group was originally called Jim Crow in the script. However, some have pointed out that the crows are actually positive, since they're some of the only characters who help Dumbo and identify with his outsider status. The worst offender, though, is 1946's Song of the South, a movie you may not even know about since it's never been released on video in the United States. You've definitely heard one of its tunes, Zippity Doo Dah, which won the Academy Award for Best Song in 1947. It's also appeared in some Disney sing-along videos, as well as being heard on the Splash Mountain ride at Disneyland. But the movie's general reliance on black stereotypes and racial caricatures have made it what critics call one of Hollywood's most resiliently offensive racist texts.
Generally relying on racial stereotypes and caricatures, huh? Well, most of the clips you use from Song of the South are clips with Uncle Remus in them, and from what I understand, he's not exactly the best example of either a stereotype or caricature. Why? Well, you see, Song of the South was released in 1946, and during the 1940s, a lot of black characters were portrayed as loud, over-the-top, in-your-face, lazy, and or really dumb. But Uncle Remus is the opposite of that. He's quiet, laid back, happy, and very smart. So, if anything, Uncle Remus is actually breaking the stereotype of his day. Oh, and before you say, well, Uncle Remus is a slave who's happy working for his owner, here's the thing. Contrary to popular belief, this movie actually takes place during Reconstruction, which was a time where slavery got abolished. Want to know how I know this? Well, for one thing, the clothing shown in the film has a striking resemblance to 1870s fashion. If this were to take place before or during the Civil War, you'd most likely see 1860s fashion. There's also the fact that the movie shows black field hands dressed as sharecroppers on the plantation, so it is possible that Uncle Remus could be one of these sharecroppers. Oh, and one more thing. Uncle Remus is able to leave the plantation at will. If this took place before or during the Civil War, he'd never be allowed to do that unless he had his owner's permission. Also, I love how you mentioned specific character traits about the crows from Dumbo, yet despite the character appearing in most of your Song of the South clips, you bring up virtually nothing about Uncle Remus. So, let me ask you a question. How come the crows are worth talking about, yet Uncle Remus isn't?